right. So let me first off say this was something that was not an easy decision to come to. I've had to think about it for many years now, actually. And I didn't want to just jump to a conclusion like a lot of us Christians do with new and scary things. It's something you really got to think about because it's way more than just adopting a new technology. So I'll begin with just kind of prefacing that. All right. So basically, in a nutshell, Neuralink's goal is to create like a direct link or interface between the human brain and a computer. It wants seamless interface between those two things. And when I say computers, don't think like your desktop or your laptop. Think all technology, cars, like literal humanoid robots, everything like that, and not just your car, a car in across the world. We have to kind of expand when we're talking about just this thing linking up with like playing some Fortnite game or something. Honestly, to me, it's actually super exciting and appealing of a concept, and it's really going to create an intense divide in humanity between those who have it and those who don't. It's really going to reshape the trajectory of the human race and what it means to be human and the capabilities of humanity. At first, it will be, and it's currently used to help restore damaged or lost abilities of people who are they're blind or they are paralyzed. So it's starting out in clinical trials as we speak. There's like I think 20 people with it right now implanted, and it's working. And those are people who've lost abilities in their body, and it's helping them overcome those challenges. But the goal is to have this technology scale like to everybody, and not just to restore abilities, but to enhance and create superhuman abilities, which is really cool. But again, there's way more to it than just that. All right, so let's move a little deeper here. So as a Christian, I believe we've got a spirit, we've got a soul, and we've got a body. And I have asked as a Christian, when I accepted Christ, I said that I no longer want to be ruled by my soul, my mind, my will, my emotions. I want an external God to come and impregnate my spirit with his spirit to bring new life. How the natural speaks of the spiritual, right? Just like a sperm enters an egg and it creates a new baby and a new life is formed, so too does the spirit or like the sperma of God enter my spirit and brings forth new life, right? I'm a new creation in Christ. The old man is dead. I'm born again. So that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Right? I'm a new creation in Christ. The old man is dead. That's cool. The sperma of God. The old man is dead. Enter my spirit and brings forth new life. Right? I'm a new creation in Christ. That's cool. I'm a new creation in Christ. The old man is dead. I'm born again. So that's kind of like the Christian worldview of being ruled and led by the Spirit. Think back to the Garden of Eden, right? Adam and Eve were once in that spirit operating system, but then, Satan came, the snake came and used the tree of the knowledge of good and evil to deceive them by eating of this fruit, right? Taking this external fruit, entering it into their bodies as a way of gaining knowledge to be like God and to know all things. And this might sound harsh. Neuralink is an echo of that. It's the same kind of thing. It's taking something external from us, implanting or impregnating it into our mind, right, into our soul, to lead us and guide us into all knowledge. So perhaps now you can see why it's taken me so long to really think about this and really create a firm stance on why I would never get Neuralink implanted in my body. I can't see how those two operating systems, the spirit and the soul, can interface with each other, right? If I'm trying to be led by my spirit, but now I'm taking the wisdom and knowledge of man and not only trying to learn from that, but I'm inviting it to come and be a part of my being to lead and guide me into all knowledge. How could those two forces not fight against each other? So let me give you an example of this from Tesla. So Tesla's self-driving cars, by far the best autonomous vehicles. The reason why is because they have 8 cameras mounted all around the car as a way of gathering and gaining truth by vision. And that brain in the car is trying to interpret based on all those cameras, truth about what's happening around the car. So the decision-making brain of the car is based on the cameras gathering all that information and data to then come into this logic thinking brain. Actually, just yesterday, Tesla's removed the safety monitor in their robo taxis, so they actually have robo taxis now where you just get in the back seat and there's nobody in the front. The car is on its own driving and making decisions. And it's based on those cameras and the brain, right? Now, there's competitors like Waymo that use two different systems to gather and gain information. They use LiDAR and then they use cameras. So basically, LiDAR is like a sensor that shoots out millions of laser pulses in a circle, right?
Laser pulses in a circle, right?
To measure distances and basically create a precise 3D map of the world in real time. It not only makes the car look hideous, but it creates a very real problem. And one that is leading to why a lot of these other companies are actually removing LiDAR and going vision only. And it's because the car is trying to make decisions based on all this information gathering. But who has priority? The camera that's seeing or the LiDAR that's doing the mapping? And that's because there's two different systems trying to gain and take information to be put into the brain of the car to guide and lead the car into truth, right? Into knowledge, into decision making. But they compete against each other. Perhaps maybe the car vision, the camera in the car will see a pothole, but the LiDAR doesn't see the pothole. It sees like, just water on the road. Or maybe the camera sees an actual duck, crossing the road, but the LiDAR is just picking it up and thinking it's like a stuffy or vice versa. Most of the time they align, but when they don't, how does the brain of the car know who's telling the truth and who's not? Now, it's the same with us. And this is where it was really a light bulb moment for me of these two interfaces, Neuralink and the wisdom of man and the spirit of God leading and guiding me to truth, where I just can't see how they would not constantly be at war with each other. They're two completely different sources being driven by completely different ways of viewing and understanding the world. One is by the Spirit of God and seeking truth in a Christ-centered worldview, and the other is the Spirit of man seeking knowledge. And those may align on a lot of things, but just 1 degree off, and you can see how over time that will only create war inside of you. You really have to think this through, and I think us as the church, we're just so scared of these things. We don't even take the time to think why we have the decision making or why we have the reasoning we do. And I've come to this conclusion that for me, I cannot see how I can be led by the Spirit of God if I am inviting the spirit of man to rule and reign and try and guide me and lead me. I'm saying no to that and going all in on trying to be led, ruled, and submitted to the Spirit of God inside of me. So, anyways, I hope this was helpful. I hope it, at the very least, helps you think about things, and maybe you have a different opinion than me, which is great. Trust me, I wish this was not so in one sense, because I think the idea and the concept of Neuralink is incredible. I think it's such an interesting concept. I'm a big fan of technology. I think it could help a lot of people, but I cannot see how this works in a Christ-centered worldview. I cannot see how it's any different than in the Garden of Eden when Satan tries and successfully deceives Adam and Eve to seek knowledge instead of being led by the Spirit of God. And I also think this is going to be very, very difficult of a decision to make. You will consciously and intentionally be choosing to not be a competitive force in a marketplace that's going to look very different than what we know of the marketplace today. That's the opportunity for Christians being led by the Spirit of God, is to be the difference maker And when the whole market's shifting this way, it creates opportunities on the other side. And I see this in like with Joseph. I see this with Daniel, um, and the decisions they made based out of the operating system of the Spirit of God and not the operating system out of the soul. So there is like the competitive advantage, but it's going to be a very, very difficult thing to do. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts. I'm still thinking this through. I'm still open to conversation around it. I love talking and thinking about these things. So let me know in the comments, would you take Neuralink? If no, why? Like, why not? And if you would, why? Like, tell me why. That's really cool. Okay, thanks. Okay, now I stop.